I usually get really nervous for these things, right? When I first started, that's gonna be how we started out. When I first started doing podcasts, I was super nervous. And then when I started doing more episodes, I was like, okay, I don't really know these people. But doing one with my best friend is it's a little weird, you know, because we've known each other for years. We've known each other since middle school. But the difference between the past, what is it now, like 13 years?
Like 15 now.
15 years that we've known each other. We have all these conversations. We've confided in each other. We've vented. We've done all these things. And I'm like, it's weird having a podcast, but I think I'm glad that the guest canceled, and we'll reschedule that one. But I'm glad to have you on.
Yeah, it's first of all, thank you for having me. It was super last minute. Think I didn't even think about it. You told me to accompany you. I forgot who you said you were gonna. I won't give the name away for the next
Yeah.
episode, but I remember I was just coming to just see the podcast be recorded, and then now I'm here being on the podcast. So thank you.
How you feeling?
Strange because um I don't know. It just feels like we're always like conversating, but now it's like different in the sense and like
Yeah.
on the podcast. So
So how about we start like this? How about you introduce yourself? Tell everybody what you do, um, and then we'll go into how we kind of met and how the dynamic is now.
yeah, so my name's Victor Espinoza. I'm from Rialto, California, or Colton, and I'm in the business field. So I have different businesses with my family. So that's where I spend most of my time at, and yeah, that's pretty much how I keep myself busy.
And what are those businesses?
Uh, there's restaurants. There's also an event center we have, and then just branching out to different ones. My dad's always been big on no limits. So whenever we have like he finds like a hobby or something he just likes, he just ends up turning into a business. So
So one of your main businesses is the hall.
yeah,
Let's talk further into that one.
yeah. So it's called La Cadena Event Center. It's off of Colton, and that one opened up May of 2022, and it was delayed because of COVID. Everything got prolonged and took longer to open. But thankfully now it's been a very successful business. Everyone loves it. We're we're we get more exposure word of mouth and actual like promotion or stuff like that. We don't really
So
do
it's
any
mainly
like
like
ads or anything.
it's mainly weddings. What kind of
We've
events?
had concerts, a few concerts, mostly like quinceañeras, weddings, and birthday parties too.
I know. I've actually been there. I've been drunk there quite a few times. So it's actually a really nice event center. And then your restaurants as well. Why
Yeah.
don't you talk a little bit more about them?
Yeah, so my dad founded the first restaurant in 1994. Yeah, Mariscos Espinoza, which is a Mexican seafood restaurant. And from there on, he just started branching out. From there, opened up different ones in different cities, and then now we just have we're in Colton, Rialto, Ontario, Riverside, and Samardina.
And how many do you guys have now?
There is well some there it's about like eight, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. See, and I've known you since we were kids. So when it's kind of like crazy to see you flourish into this role of like the businessman, and like I can never get a hold of you to do fun shit because you're always doing something with the either the restaurant or the hall. And when we were kids, I think we met in the seventh grade. Like you would tell people about it, and like,
Actually, I didn't. I never told anyone.
well, you would tell me
I would
about it.
hide it.
You would tell me about it. I knew it, and I would kind of pick on you for it because I'd be like, I can't remember what I would say, but I used to hold it against you all the time because I was a bully, and then we just kind of like stuck to each other. I remember we had a class in seventh grade, and we were just polar opposites. Um,
I don't think we had a class until
We had Miss Gardner, right?
that was in high school.
Oh, that was in high school. My brain's all messed up.
Yeah, that was in senior year, I think,
No, that was
or
definitely not senior
or
year.
junior.
It had to be junior year
Mm-hmm.
because I remember that's when I broke both my ankles.
How'd you
Yeah,
break your ankles?
skateboarding. Remember, because I had the wrestling season going
Oh
on,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then I broke both of my ankles, and then we had Miss Gardner's class. Yeah, but it's kind of crazy just to see us both flourish into like specific roles that we're in now. Um, that's why it's weird doing a podcast with you.
Well, there
But
was a time where we lost communicate, not lost communication, but we were just doing our own things. That's
for
when
a
you
few
were like
years,
managing like the music and all that
yeah,
stuff that you were doing.
yeah, for a few years, we like lost track of each other. But you've kind of been like my longest consistent. I don't want to say relationship. I
I
mean
think,
friendship.
yeah, I think I reached out. There was a rave coming up because you always had like tickets. And you told me to let
Mm.
you, and I asked you. I think that's how we started talking again. If you had tickets, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm not in that no more," and then we just caught up and everything.
No,
I think
no,
so.
because we've talked quite a few since then, and I was still doing it because I remember maybe we had linked up a few times post COVID.
There was only like 2 times.
I don't know. I feel like I've known you longer than that. Then we've at least hung out longer. Um, but yeah, I mean, like the way our friendship is, it's like you wouldn't be able to like tell that
Time passed.
time passed so far. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. But so, what made you start this show? Since I'm here on this seat today.
I think I wanted to start this show because, like, you know that I've done the music thing for quite a few years, and I think when I did music, music made me feel free. It was like, you could do the 9 to 5 thing, you could work at a warehouse, or you could do whatever anybody else is doing. And I think out of high school when we had gotten out, I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. I didn't want to be known as the guy that went to like Cal State University, San Bernardino. And then music was kind of like my crutch because when I had found raves, like at first it was about partying and doing drugs and just drinking a lot, and we were doing plenty of that. But eventually I was like, I remember I was at a hard summer festival and I was looking out into like the stage and I seen people backstage and I was like, how do I get how do I get there? How do I how do I reach like this type of level, and what kind of money and what type of notoriety are these people reaching? And I remember it didn't take that long either. Um, I started doing that, and I started working for somebody who was doing events in Hollywood here, and it kind of flourished into this big thing that I didn't really expect to grow that big. And eventually, I just felt free doing the music thing. We were traveling all over the place. I was working with great artists. I got to meet plenty of great people. And then eventually I was like, I'm tired of kind of being, I don't want to say lackey because it's a legitimate job. Artist manager is a legitimate thing. But at some point I felt like, am I only going to be, the managing kind of,
Portion of the.
yeah, point of contact for an artist to do things. And when I had left that, I wanted to become a lawyer. So I needed something to make me feel like I was still in this zone of creativity, or that I was still in this zone of influence. And I've always wanted to start a podcast for a few years. And then I like held it off for a long time. I tried to save up a bunch of money and I was like, oh, I'm going to do my own thing. And then eventually I met the previous engineer that I was with, and that's how we started.
That's crazy. Um, One thing that I think that I'm very strong about is manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
And back in like during COVID time, everything was shut down. There was nothing to do. I bought myself it was like the little red studio kit that comes with the microphone.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I forgot the name of it. But during that time I was like, I want to do a podcast episode, right? And with my cousin, we had done it. But Just time, You don't really put we didn't put a lot of time into it, whatever. So the fact of being here just goes back to like the thing of manifestation that or realization that a lot of times the things that we end up wanting to do, we might not do it at the moment then, but it ends up just flourishing just naturally, what makes it even better.
And that was kind of the problem with me. For the longest time, I was like overthinking it, right? I was like, it has to be perfect. It has to be this. It has to be that. I don't want to start a podcast until I have X amount of equipment or I have to do all of this. But the experience that I gained over the years and the people that I kind of met, it made me realize that all people really care about is good conversation.
Yeah.
So that very first episode, I remember I was super nervous, but it ended up being the best episode that I've ever done.
Until now.
Until now, until the one with you. But it was like, that moment made me kind of realize like all you need to do is do something and it flourishes, or you'll end up doing nothing
Yeah.
at all. And over the years of like my 20s, like I kind of recognized like if I don't do something now, like it's going to end up becoming I'm going to be nothing. Like I'm going to do nothing and I'm going to have all these regrets and I'm going to be telling stories about how I was getting drunk or high with this really big artist that nobody knows about anymore, but he was popping back then. And I wanted something for myself that I can kind of like hold on to
Yeah.
rather than like be that guy in a wheelchair being like, oh yeah, I used to party with, 20 different women at once and we used to
Is
do a
that your
bunch of
story?
drugs. And it's a true story. But
Or allegedly true story?
yeah, it's allegedly. My girlfriend will be watching this, so I don't think I want her to really know about that. But yeah, I mean, it's manifesting, but at the same time, it's more so just doing something.
There's a I don't know if you heard about it. If you keep waiting for the right time, you're already late.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very big one that has stuck to me. I think I've shared that with you before.
There's no right time. There's no
Yeah.
such thing.
Mm-mm.
The right time is whenever you get the idea for it. You have to kind of like you have to act on the opportunity that your brain is giving you because not often do people it's not a very common thing where people get great ideas because we're kind of just too consumed with everything that's going on in our lives.
Opinions and everything.
Everybody's opinions are getting in the way. You have work tomorrow morning, you have to prepare, so it's not often that we get great ideas. It's more so everyone's on like a routine that's on autopilot. So the minute you get these great ideas, you kind of have to write them down and then don't focus too much on the planning. Just how can I get it out there?
Yeah.
Because evolution is kind of like going to do its thing. Every great idea, even if the first thing that you do is bad, it's going to evolve into something
Yeah.
because you learned.
And what do you look to make your podcast different from the rest? Or how do you want to be known that your podcast differs from different other podcasts?
Because when I first started the podcast, like, and still to this day, my ideology behind it is like I didn't want to stick to a niche because I found everybody interesting. Like I didn't want to just have music artists on the podcast because that kind of limits me to a specific niche. But then I wanted to branch out because I feel like there are so many other people that are interesting. And I wanted to be the person that got specific conversations that are very rare. Like if we're just having one-on-one friendly conversation with people, where the greatest ideas where you're sitting inside of a living room when they come out, I wanted to kind of like bring that to my podcast rather than like, okay, so how was the performance last weekend? How do you think you did? I wanted it to be more like
Personal?
I'm the guy that's getting personal with the artist or the guest or the fighter or the actor or whomever it may be or the engineer. I wanted to get personal with these people where they're able to kind of open up themselves, and that right there, like that's knowledge to people who are watching.
Is that where the name came from?
Um,
From that idea, like getting deep into it, so like secretive, like
kind of,
information
sorta.
that doesn't say to
Kind of,
everyone.
sorta. It was more like I wanted to have like a club of just internet people that were, because we all live on the internet.
Yeah.
I wanted just like a club of internet people that were just that they had a place to go to. You know, they had somewhere to go to where they just wanted to get out of the norm of just like regular standard information. And they can meet these people. Like this was their networking in a sense. Like instead of having to pay, like let's say $1,000 for a seminar, and then
Mm-hmm.
like somebody will tell you 3 words. I wanted to be able to chat with these individuals where somebody can go back and be like, okay, this 1 hour or 2 hours of conversation is enough for me to say, hey, I'm going to continue being an AI engineer, because if this guy can do it and his story is great, then it kind of relates to mine.
Yeah.
But that's not often that you get people to kind of like bring their real selves out. Because usually when you meet people at face value, it's like, okay, I'm I'm a lawyer, and then I make all this money, or I went to Harvard Law, and that's all you meet from them. Now they're this big hotshot, but there's a lot more to people than just
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. No, I believe that too. What is the like I guess the person that you would like to have on the other side of the interview, like as a goal?
I don't think there's necessarily like a specific individual. Um, I want to be able to make just like gold out of conversations like this.
Yeah.
Um, do I want bigger guests? Absolutely. Am I working on it? Yeah, but it's more so I want to be able to like create gold out of just regular conversations like with you and I, because the entire 99% of the audience are going to be regular people.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want them to be like, this is the only place that they can see like big, big, big name faces that are on here. I want them to be like, okay, like we can get actual knowledge from just regular people as well.
Do you feel like there's a topic that hasn't really spoken about openly on podcasts?
I think mental health in terms is still not talked about enough. And maybe we can dive into that a little bit more. Um, I don't believe mental health and just kind of like the regular everyday life struggles are talked about too much.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you can agree with me here. Um, because I feel like we live in this era of social media where everybody's too absorbed with making themselves feel like they're someone. And then if they're not trying to make themselves seem like someone, they are seeing people that are already doing things, and it creates like this, not jealousy, but this like this FOMO, this fear of like I'm not doing enough.
Like the what is it? The comparison is the theft of joy, something like
Yeah.
that. The saying that goes.
But I feel like podcasts don't talk about that enough. I feel like it's more catered towards like creating an illusion of things. And I've kind of struggled with stuff like that too, where because every day my mind is just like racing, and then every day I see a piece of content that comes out, and I'm like, damn, like why am I not doing enough? And I feel like that takes a toll on your mental health. It takes a toll on your brain, and it rewires your brain to kind of like gear itself a specific way, and that tires out 99% of people.
Or it starts to kind of make your motivation kind of go down because now you feel like you're not working as hard enough as this person that's posting this thing
Mm-hmm.
or that thing. And yeah, I see what you mean.
Have you struggled with stuff like that?
I have. I mean, I feel like I think when putting out an idea sometimes, because I feel like in the business aspect, you're always like, your mind is always like running. It's always running. You're always thinking about the next idea or whatever. So sometimes you want to do an idea and do it and publish it or whatever, but for the same reason they say like social media and how it's so consumed by everything, opinions and people's perceptions towards what they're gonna think or that just everything like that just ends up affecting you. So you just end up just being huddled and not doing anything, you know, and then just keep going with the routine.
It could turn into literal depression.
Yeah, it can.
Um, and I think because it's so hard for everybody nowadays, especially economically, we're all looking for this way out. And because we're looking for this way out, we look to our main point of contact for anything like an immediate escape is our social media. So when we see people buying Ferraris or buying new houses or doing X, Y, and Z, um, we tend to forget like the reality of things.
Yeah.
I could post right now. I could go rent a Ferrari. I could be like, all right, yeah, I'm in a Ferrari. Make me look good. And somebody will see that and be like, damn, dude, I wish I had your life. And that's kind of a depressing thing because the reality of life is that we're all kind of like struggling in a way.
I feel like at the end of the day, it also all comes back down to being comfortable and also being in tune with yourself in the core. Because I feel like once you're in tune like with your like emotionally, spiritually, and like physically, you could withstand anything. Like nothing phases you anymore. And it takes a process. It's not like from one day to the next. You just gotta like start just like locking in, you know? Like just changing habits. There's certain vices I feel like that end up um kind of pushing towards this lifestyle, how you mentioned of like so and so is doing this or so and so is doing that. Like I feel like right now what's very idolized is like, and still it's been for a long time, but I started seeing it differently, like clubbing every weekend or drinking every day.
Yeah.
If you think about it on social media, and nothing, like everyone has their own tastes or likes or anything, but I feel like that's the thing you see the most, you know? Someone like posting like that they're out like either drinking a whole bottle or like bottle service or like putting like all these signs, which is cool, you know, but I feel like to a certain extent, I feel like if you try and change your direction of that towards now like yourself and your goals and stuff like that,
Mhm.
it pushes you more to reach it at a different headspace too.
There's got to be some internal dialogue at some point with people when they're just like, is what I'm doing like beneficial to where I'm going? And when just like you said now, like people are just drinking and you see stuff like partying and all that, like feel like all these vices that are feeling the whole. Um, at some point, you have to have an internal dialogue and say like, how is this helping me get to where I need to go?
Yeah.
How is this helping me be any different than the norm? How is this helping me just get my mind right? Because like I know for me, like myself, I've been on like a crazy path of just like I cannot stop working.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of healthy like competitive edge to that where I always want to keep outdoing myself. But at the same time it's like unhealthy to the point where it's like I don't want to stop because I feel like if I stop, I will just fall back into the same toxic bad habits that I used to have before. And it's like this weird mix of emotions.
Yeah, I feel like um it's really big like when you keep making yourself feel uncomfortable, it makes you either fight or flight type of thing.
Right.
So I feel like when you stay comfortable, like just going to the same like your job, home, doing the stuff, you end up in this routine. So you get comfortable. So you don't want to keep doing more. But like when you're in a headspace where you just want more, not so much like in an egotistical way, or like even like in a greedy way, more of like wanting more for yourself and just pushing yourself to see how much, like I did this, let me see if I could do that, or like I just did this too, let me see if I could do this. So it's just like a constant thing to push yourself, because that also like boosts you, where in the fact you just keep striving for the next big thing, but it does become unhealthy because now you feel like I'm not doing it quick enough, or I'm not doing it as fast as I should. But it should just be that balance of always coming back to the headspace and just sitting back and looking back from it and just seeing where you were coming from, where you're doing, and where you're going. You know, just to reevaluate everything around you.
It's a it's definitely hard because you like I've accomplished like more in probably like the past 2 years than I ever had in the past decade of being an adult. And when I don't accomplish anything like faster or when I don't accomplish something right away, it's like I work too damn hard to like
Give
have
up.
this declined from me. Um, so it's hard for me to kind of differ, like, and come back to reality sometimes. Just like you were saying, it's like you put yourself in this zone where everything has to be immediate. Like I'm always kind of uncomfortable. Why aren't I reaping the benefits?
Yeah.
Why don't I get a reward for everything that I'm doing? And it is kind of hard to kind of just tell yourself like, okay, let's bring yourself back to reality a little bit here.
You said in the last 2 years you did more than in a decade. What was it, do you think, that was the changing factor of it all?
Man, I think that's around the time we started getting closer to each other. It was like 2 years ago. Um, I was just extremely depressed. Um, I was in a terrible relationship that didn't serve me. I was not where I wanted to be financially. Um, just tired of a lot of things. I think I was nearing the end of my music career, and all I had to show for was I could get free bottle service and tickets to the next festival.
Yeah.
Um, and to some, that's cool. But for me, the turning point was like the way I feel in my mind, like in this current moment, is not what's showing on paper. And I remember I had to really sit with myself for like a long week and tell myself, like, your life from here on out is going to be absolute hell. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, happiness is not, happiness and comfort are not going to be on your table. You need to get rid of that immediately because if you want to be happy, in my mind, this worked for me. If you want to be happy, you will never be successful because happiness kind of comes with some comfort at some point. And comfort for me was like there was so many things to be done. There was so many opportunities to be taken advantage of. There were so many moves to be made. And if I was going to be happy, I was not going to accomplish any of those. And for the past 2 years, it's been hell. It's been 80-hour work weeks. I've lost. I've stayed up more than I've slept. I've worked harder than I can imagine. Um, there's a lot of things that just went on, and I'm proud of them. But I'm starting to near this space, this headspace where I'm just like, it's not enough. And now I'm a little bit worried where I'm like, okay, now I have to recenter my mind to kind of come back to reality, but realize like you're on a great path.
Yeah, because looking back, like if you say like in the last 2 years they did more than a decade, and you keep pushing with that same mentality that you have right now, what will come of the next 2 years? You'll be even further across, you know. But I feel like you just have to keep on that same headspace and mindset that you're working, but not also beating yourself so much, where you don't acknowledge it, which is hard though.
It's
It's
hard
easier said than done for
because
sure.
you have to sacrifice a lot, dude. Like you really do. Like like I used to be jacked, right? I used to be jacked, have a six pack. I used to be fun. You could see my shoulders, my traps popping out of my shoulder, like my shirts. And now I'm not that. Like I'm 165 pounds in comparison to 200. Like, and that's because I don't have time to be working out as much as I used to anymore. And if I do, it's just cardio while I'm still on the clock, working from home or whatever I'm doing. It's there's a lot of sacrifice that comes into play. So I don't really know a medium. Like I don't really know a middle point where if if I stay in the middle and I stay grounded, I'm gonna limit myself. That's my mentality. Like if if I don't go full throttle, I'm not gonna accomplish anything. Because if I'm in the middle, I'm too happy. And then if I'm completely happy, I'm not doing enough. So yeah, it's a little bit of a toxic. I
Relationship.
chose one toxic I chose one bad toxic habit of like drinking and just like being okay with being essentially doing nothing. Um, and then I changed it for another toxic habit where it's like now you're stressing yourself out over things that you can't accomplish in one day. But look what you've done in 2 years rather than 10 years.
Yeah, definitely is a hard one, but I mean, just keeping at the same momentum that you're going, I feel like you'll do just fine.
I would hope so because eventually, um, and that's kind of what I've always tried to teach everybody else that are around me. Because even where I work now, I have employees, and it's hard being like that guy that's super intense. Like everything about my life is intense, and if it's not, like it pisses me off. So it's hard, kind of like, and they're gonna see this. Um, it's hard, kind of trying to put myself where they're like, "Hey, man, like you don't need to push yourself harder than us, like, or you don't need to do this, or you don't need to do that. Like you've reached a point in your life where you can kind of like take it easy a little bit." And I've always tried to teach, like, even my employees or just friends that are around me, everybody that asks for advice, what is your advice? And I'm like, just work so hard that you cannot be denied what you want. Because at the end of the day, if you're denied what you want, it's on you. It's your fault. It's nobody else's fault. You can't blame this person for their opportunity that they got. Oh, you can't say this person had a leg up on you. It's like you have to work so violently
Yeah.
hard that none of that even fucking matters. And they're like, dude, relax.
It's not that serious.
We're just working on aircraft. I'm like, oh shit. Like, all right, damn, I forgot. I thought we were like about to go into a UFC fight. But that's how it is. It is like that. It is like that for me. And it's hard. It's hard sometimes.
I think it's good. I think that mentality though is what kind of like separates and differ. Can't even say the word. It,
Differing.
huh?
Differing.
Yeah, differs like
Yeah.
people from like I guess you could say the regular mindset of okay, I have a good job, I'm paying my rent, I'm paying my payments, and I have extra money. I'm cool. I don't have to stress, you know.
Mm.
But there's also now the mentality where like, okay, I'm paying this and this and this, but I still want to do this and this. So you keep pushing yourself to do different levels, different heights. That's the mentality my dad has had, and that's what has worked for him, and the mentality he's taught us to have too. And at first, I feel like it does feel like it is overwhelming, but then you kind of, as weird to say, you kind of like fall in love with it, with that whole pushing yourself.
It's you
It's
romanticize it.
addicting,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's addicting.
It's addicting because you keep pushing yourself for more, and it's just like that feeling of knowing you were able to do something. You keep wanting to chase it,
Hmm.
and
And you
yeah,
can understand because I know your dad. Your dad didn't give you anything. Your dad made you earn everything that you've had, and it shows in the way that you are now. And that's why I feel like we mesh a lot because, we come from the same work ethic. We may not be from the same cloth, but we understand the way that we're produced. And I feel like that just works for guys like us. Um, and I don't know how to do it any other way anymore.
I think also having like the same mindset around you also helps you like in the fact when one's feeling like low or down, the other one pushes up. I feel like right now more than ever, my friend circle is the most influential I've had ever because we all have the same mentality.
Yeah.
Not one of my friends right now is like going out to the weekends and like doing all that stuff. Or I have friends that have businesses and then start other side businesses on the side because it's just that feeling of just wanting to do more in this life.
Yeah. I would hope I'm in that friend category, but it's okay.
Yeah, you are.
And we had a conversation when we were like driving over here too, and we were talking about how people from like our previous circle or our past, they're just, it's crazy to see that like we've been able to kind of distance ourselves from that. And I still have conversations with people every single day when they're just talking to me and they're like, "Well, I'm really proud of you. You're doing so much." And you look at them and you're like, I'm proud of you, but they're doing so much different things. Um, Sometimes I feel like people would stop telling me they're proud of like the romanticized intensity, because if I could switch my life around and be comfortable with something like that, like with what they do, I think I would choose it. But I can't. And I wish I could have like a normal life sometimes.
I feel not being normal is better though.
Sure, but at some point you're gonna want to be that. Like the way you work now, there's somebody that works way harder than you, right?
Of course.
And then the person that works way harder than you and the person that works way harder than me, like they would rather trade for what we have than what they have. And if they could trade their world for another normal one, then they would. But that's just not what keeps them going.
But I feel like the whole trading part, I feel like it just like have you ever thought about like what like current situations that you like dealing with right now? Like whatever like goals or like obstacles that you might be facing now that you're just like, man, I wish I would have been like this certain age back then
Oh
again.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you go back to that age and then at that age you wouldn't probably be thinking about all the things you're amounting now.
No.
But I feel like that goes back to the comfort. That you
Mm-hmm.
want to go back to the comfort that you had back then because back then maybe you didn't have that many like responsibilities, you didn't have much that ambition that you have now because the mindset I feel like it changes as we get older. Um Makes us change like you could like something um like raves. How do you feel about raves now as in like 5 years ago?
They feel like a chore.
Okay.
I can't fucking
And
stand them.
5 years ago?
They were the greatest thing ever.
Okay. So you
It
see
was
what I mean like
right when you walk into that gate, like it's
that
the
feeling of the bass.
oh my goodness. Now I'm like, are we going home yet? And my girlfriend's younger than me, so she's like, no, we're gonna stay the whole thing. And I'm like, my fucking hip hurts.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying like I feel like the mentality changes so our mind tends to go want to go back to a certain point in life where we felt comfort because it's natural, you know. We're
Yeah.
feeling some type of way that we want to go back to where we felt comfort.
Yeah. I mean, I think in order, and I don't have the answer to like what is actual happiness, but I think in order to be satisfied and happy, like it's never gonna come from material things. It's gonna come from how useful you are in the world. Like true happiness to me, and I've thought about this several times. True happiness to me is how useful you are to the world and to everybody around you. Um, and that's I just want to leave an impact on the world, and that's kind of what has helped me keep going. Um, how I can be useful just to everybody else,
Like leaving a footprint.
leaving a footprint on everyone. Whether it be family, friends, or just
Strangers
even if the podcast were to blow up at some point, like
after this episode.
after this episode, how was I useful to others?
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times like even like on podcasts, they're directed towards like how you mentioned like to big figures and stuff like that.
Mm,
But who's watching it?
regular people.
Regular people.
Yeah.
So a lot of times how you mentioned like the whole like oh this person's doing this and this person's doing that. I watch podcasts too. I've seen yours too. They're awesome.
Yeah, you told me you didn't fucking watch it, and we were gonna fight before here. So
No, but I feel like you could tell when some are like scripted and some are just natural and and they just don't have any script. And those usually tend the ones that they connect more because there's not an actual script to go with, where it feels like all like robotic, you know? I don't know if that's
that's why I
something.
was kind of nervous for this one, because we don't ever have like a robotic dynamic. Like every time we talk, like we talk about like relatively deep stuff, like deep shit. And I was like, there's no way I can talk to this guy, my best friend, as if he's ex DJ or that person or this person. It's like every single conversation we have, it's been meaningful. And every time we've had deep conversations, they've gone on for hours where we're just like, well, damn, we got a lot out of that. That's why I was like, damn, we're going to have to talk in a raw manner no matter what on this
Yeah.
podcast because that's just our dynamic. Um, but I think that's what's needed more in the world. I think we need less script and more emotion. We need
More raw
less,
material.
yeah, we need more raw material rather than um, things that are just planned, detailed.
I feel like everything that's not planned is what ends up even being better, anyways, too.
Yeah, it can. It can. Um, I don't want to stay on the topic of mental health too much because we could talk for hours about it. But I do want to ask what your your 5 year, let's say your 5 to 10 year plan on how you want your life to pan out goes. What are just some of the most extreme things? Maybe your goals. What do you want to do? What are on the top three of your list?
I think right now, the top, it wouldn't be anything. I would say like about 5 years ago, my focus or my goal was to get like a supercar, like a fast car.
Mm,
Um, my dream car for a while was a McLaren um, 720S. But recently, like I really don't care about like the materialistic stuff anymore.
right.
It's more like how you mentioned, just leaving like a footprint. So, um, just leaving a footprint and helping people is what I wanna do for like these next my goal, I guess you could say. And just grow from what I'm doing now and use it to reinvest into myself and into my future. Not just that, but also like my family's future too.
So do you want to, let's say, expand the businesses, the restaurant business?
I feel like I would want to expand more in real estate.
And you currently own property right now, correct?
No, not yet.
So when you say expand into real estate, what are you looking for? More towards like multifamily.
I would say like one of my goals that I want to have like in real estate would be like a commercial plaza.
Mhm.
I want to have that.
Yeah,
For sure. And from there, just like an apartment complex. That's one of the things I want to have too. And then just residential homes, real
yeah.
estate.
I've thought about it. It just kind of, for me, like at least real estate right now is kind of,
Right now is not the time.
it's not the time at all, especially to be purchasing homes and stuff like that. Like like maybe commercial properties, yeah. But even businesses, small businesses are kind of like failing left and right.
Yeah,
So
it's hard to make a name right
it's
now.
hard to really determine if like your commercial property is going to do good or not.
The business field, I feel like it's too saturated.
Mm,
It's too saturated, and to even make a name, it's hard. You need a lot of marketing, and you need to have something that's different. Because if you see, there's a lot of different businesses,
mm,
and it's not as easy as it was back then. It's not that it's easy, but right now it's even more harder. There's more regulations. The rent's more expensive. Just everything's more expensive. Product, everything.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, it's hard. Mom and pop shops are failing. Big corporations are even like
a lot of
closing
them
down.
left during COVID.
Yeah, even big corporations are shutting down a lot of their stores. I just saw that like Starbucks was shutting down like almost 40% of like all their stores. I don't know if that's the right number, but it's
Well,
just
if you see a lot of places have like their own kiosk now.
mhm. It's I don't know. I don't know what to make of this current economic state.
AI.
I love AI. We can dive into AI if you'd like.
You introduced me to
Yeah,
AI.
yeah, yeah, I did, and that's kind of like the current trajectory that I'm on now. And in the next 2 years, focusing on a law degree will. I kind of want to stay in the zone of just like um, cyber law
Yeah.
because and things that have to do with technology because in the next 2 to 5 years, there's going to be a lot of gray areas with AI companies that are going to go on, and I think being a lawyer, being an attorney in that space is going to be like it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I put you onto AI because I felt, and this is my opinion about AI. Everybody thinks it's the devil. Everybody thinks it's X, Y, and Z. Sure, AI. It kind of, you can either make AI do everything for you, or you can have AI train you. And when I first saw something like Neuralink, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was incredible because we are introduced to so many things in the world, right? And obviously, people deal with depression, people deal with their hard struggles in life. And then I've always thought, what if there was a chip that can kind of, and of course, people are not going to like this. What if there's a chip that can like train a legitimate human being to only think about the goal, like,
Wouldn't
and
that
that's kind
dehumanize though?
of course,
So how would
but
that
that
be a human?
but that's why it's so fascinating because what it's like a hybrid human being. Like, what if you can have a human being who literally does not veer off the tracks? And obviously, there are people like that right now without AI chips, but I think artificial intelligence is an excellent tool to train you as an individual, if you allow it to. But if you allow it to kind of take over your entire life, then that's where you're kind of going wrong. Where AI is doing everything for you, um, it's serving no benefit for you. I use AI a lot, but I've just been recently kind of getting into learning machine learning, um, and it's interesting to see how it differs from actual learning, like how you as an individual learn. Right, you're sitting there, you're studying. What if there was a specific way to kind of implant? Okay, look, let me try and explain this in like good words, and let me not try and confuse you. The way artificial intelligence gives you information is pretty cut and dry. It's simple. It scrubs and it like literally washes an entire database to give you exactly what you're asking, right? If you as a human being can sit there and say, you can take from artificial intelligence and say, okay, how does machine learning work? How do I implement that into my everyday life? Um, the things that human beings are missing nowadays are routine, um, specific, like smart ways of studying, and using their current, like brain power to their advantage. Um, if everybody can just learn from artificial intelligence and how the way it does and how it scrubs the internet, or how it completely just washes a database, and it's like, okay, like you want to learn how to create, you want to learn how to code. If you can learn the way artificial intelligence does, I think everybody would be golden. You don't have to do it at the same like level, but if you can take from that and you can implement it into your everyday life, I think it'll help you a lot. It'll help a lot of people. And I know I sound like um, some pedal pusher for like AI companies, but I promise I don't work for one. But it's just it's changed my life in a way, and I mean, learning on my own is much easier now. It's like light years of learning. If I need to learn something, I know exactly how to pinpoint each and every single information that's specific to what I'm trying to do, rather than reading an entire book and being like, okay, like I'm lost. It's like, no, like you have a specific goal on how you want to do things. Um, like artificial intelligence and just learning machine learning in general is it's kind of taught me in a way.
I feel like it's just like everything has its good and bad. It has its good because I feel like in school,
Mm.
yeah, you can have a question, but if you have a question, are you gonna raise your hand, or most of the time you're just gonna be like, I'll figure it out alone, on my own?
I would likely raise my hand.
Okay. Well, most people, I would say quiet. I was a quiet kid in class, so I would just end up either figuring it out or just not knowing about it. So I feel like with AI, there's no such thing as a dumb question because you feel like you feel the comfort to be able to ask whatever it is you're trying to learn. Like I used it to learn photography. I didn't know anything about a camera. I had a A7, a Sony A7 R2 that I purchased 10 years ago. And I used it. I got fed up with it because I didn't understand it. I put it to the side. Recently, about like 4 months ago, I just started using ChatGPT to use it. I learned about ISO, shutters, um, the apertures, just everything of how to work the camera. And that's how I use it now. I use it to learn different things and stuff like that. But I feel like if you say like embedding a chip into the human, I feel like that's just like a whole nother thing because I feel who writes all the information or who uploads the information on AI?
Right, right,
Human?
right.
So isn't it like if you could control history, can't you control the world? So imagine that it goes to AI gets too big where now like people aren't reading books, aren't reading anything. If the information on the AI gets manipulated and that we don't second guess or second question AI.
Right, we don't.
So imagine if future like maybe like 10 years from now because I think 5 years are too soon, but like 10 years or further on where they just change the history on AI, future generations won't know the difference because they're just gonna go based off of that. It's just like school books.
Right.
School books are written to the fact where someone's point of view, I feel, and they're changing it each time. Like if you compare a book from yours from our school years back in elementary to now, there's certain things that are missing in the books. So I feel like that's the same thing with AI. Like it has its benefits, but I feel like if we fully just depend on AI is where that's where it becomes something I think not right.
The way I see AI becoming, the technology at least, and I do agree. Um, I think the world as it is right now is so messed up, and I feel like human beings are in such a headspace where um, they're not necessarily negative, but there's so much chaos going around them that that's all they know. I feel like where AI is going is eventually machine is kind of going to control dynamic on how society is running. And do I think that's a bad thing or a good thing? It's up for a debate. Um, at the end of the day, we kind of have to let human beings make their own individual decisions. But if you had to ask me, I feel like that's how that's how the future of technology is going to be in the next 20 years, where society is going to be so desperate for answers that okay, well, we as the biggest tech company in the world, we have the answers for you. We have these really extreme NVIDIA chips that we can implant into your brain and will give you the life that you've always had. We'll program you in a way to where you won't feel depressed anymore. And we'll program you in a way to where you can continue to work your 9 to 5 and you'll be okay and you won't ever feel depressed about it. You'll go home to your wife and you'll be fine. That's kind of the extreme that how I see artificial intelligence playing out to be. But at least right now, I'm okay with asking ChatGPT if my feelings are valid. Because when it gets to that point where I have to put a chip into my brain, then we'll have a conversation.
But if
But
you put a chip on your brain and then let's say your partner doesn't have a chip on your brain, her brain, then how would that work though? If you're saying you're not feeling any in a sense emotions. You're just go 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 go. How would that work?
that's not true. That's not true because emotions. If it does get to a point where artificial intelligence is able to convey emotions, then we're screwed. I think that's going to be crazy because we won't know we won't know reality from AI. Even right now, like we see videos online, I'm like, damn,
I
that's
have
just
to
crazy.
second.
Why? I'm like, wait. It was AI.
Look at the
I saw
comments.
the leg twitch. That's AI. It's gonna get to a point now, like in the next 20 years, where we don't exactly know. It's like a simulation.
I don't know if um your standpoint on it, but I think if I do recall, I don't read it all the time, but I think there is a part like in the Bible where it says that there's gonna be a point in time where you're not even gonna distinguish what's true and false. I feel like that's
We're
where
living in those current times.
Revelations, yeah.
Yeah.
And the chip, that's probably the mark of the beast.
I have thought of, and like in my spare time, I have like this entire notebook on, like, I wanted to implant like a chip inside of my hand. And so I can just like, it's an RFID chip and it will have all my information on it. So when I walk up to the actual, like the pay, like tap to pay, I can just use my hand. I've thought about that a lot.
About getting it?
And I've kind of studied the idea of it and kind of written it out on how I would do it. And it's not that expensive. But then I thought about it. I was like, what if somebody wants to rob me?
Why don't they just chop off your hand?
Yeah, like what if somebody wants to rob me and they notice that like I have something in my
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you get the chip on your head and someone knows you have a chip and they can't get the chip, they're just freaking.
Or what if they try and rob me and I have nothing on me? I have no cards, nothing. And they get mad. And they're like, okay, well, you don't have nothing on you. All right, we're just going to kill you. I'm like, no, dude, you don't get it. Like, I'll have to Apple
Take
Pay.
my hand.
I'll have to Zelle it to you, dude. Like, here, take my hand. Like, where's your phone? Let me Apple Pay it to you. Like, dude, please let me go. He's like, dude, you think I'm a joke? I'm like, nah, dude, I swear I have a chip inside of my hand. You're not understanding, dude.
Like,
Like,
sound crazier than the person.
all my money's right here. And they just blow my head off, dude. I don't know. But I love AI. I love everything about technology. I don't know. It's great. I have a thing for technology that really sparks my mind and
Gets you going.
it gets me going, especially when it comes to stuff like that. Just autonomous machines, or maybe someday I'll work for
Robot.
an aviation company and make autonomous weapons, drones. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there.
I remember you told me about an app that you were making. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Um,
Or not another time.
Maybe another time. I don't know if I got to a point where it was like good enough to talk about yet, but I have a
I
bunch
thought
of
it was.
yeah.
I thought it was fascinating.
I have a bunch of things, but I would specifically would like to talk about things that like I've actually made happen. Maybe someday. Maybe someday when it makes millions of dollars, and then we can talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it's just so fascinating the way technology is now. Like, there's no reason for anybody to not have. Okay, you see people would say, "Oh well, studying is so hard," but they're only studying from a book, or I don't know the answers to this, but they're only asking one professor. And when you ask one professor and you ask one person, you're getting a strict bubble of knowledge from one person. Like, I know plenty of professors. I know plenty of lawyers. I know plenty of people. And what I've realized is that, like, when I ask questions to a lot of people, they don't know. They don't even know themselves. And I think now that we have technology,
Or they don't know why the answer is the answer.
and that's what I'm saying. It seems to be subjective to a lot of people. And that's why I think technology is fascinating, because there's really no reason for you to not know. Like, back in the early 2000s, when people wanted to learn real estate, they had to find somebody who was really successful in doing it. But nowadays, if you want to learn about, mortgage, how mortgages work, lending, you name it, it's all on the internet. Everything is on the internet. So for me, it was kind of odd, like, going back to college and getting a degree, because there wasn't a time where I had to speak to a professor and ask them a question about anything. It was just simple. We had so much technology. Like, I myself can run the mill on how I can study it myself. I created my own study guides. I created my own way of thinking and how I was going to remember, how does this work for me? You ask another student, they're like, I have no clue. Like, I'm just going into it blind. Like, I've asked this person, that person, and then I'm like, well, maybe you should do this. This works for me. It's like, I've always like figured out how to train my brain in a way to where I didn't have to rely on um, another single individual. And that's why
But
technology
AI.
fascinates me. Not just AI, just technology, internet. Um, the internet is like your database of just everything. If you don't know it, it's on the internet. Um, that's why I feel like we're at such an advantage now as a society that there's really no excuse for people to just not know.
I feel like right now it is a hard time with everything like going on in the world, but it's also I feel like there's a time of opportunity where you have all the knowledge at your fingertips if you use it to the right advantage. You can do anything. It studies the algorithms of everything. Like like let's say you want to go um viral. You could literally get the algorithm or see how you could get into the algorithm of social media to make you go viral.
Everything nowadays is
It gives you like a
algorithms.
whole posting schedule and everything.
Everything nowadays is algorithms,
Database.
zeros and ones. It's 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 insane. Like it's everything is just now algorithms. Um, the old way of learning, like I still try and read books, but for
What's the
me,
last book you read?
well, I'm currently reading a book on hacking, and the last book that I read was on health law essentials, um, and that's just because of the law firm that I work for. But the current book that I'm reading now is on hacking, black hat hacking. Um, I'm not saying I want to be a hacker. I don't want to hack anybody individually.
Allegedly.
But I'm just fascinated by the technology, so I want to read it. But in retrospect, like there's really, and this is going to be again controversial, but there's really no point to reading on the internet anymore when there's audiobooks. I get more out of audiobooks than I do reading, and that's because whenever I listen to audiobooks, whenever they're reading and speaking the information that's on the books, whenever they're speaking about it, like I kind of have like this internal dialogue or this conversation with myself where I'm like, oh, okay, like, dang, I didn't know that. So it sticks in my brain.
Yeah, I feel like reading as you're reading, but you're not attaining anything that
Hmm.
you actually. After you read a whole like page, you're like, what did I just read?
That's because reading is a lost art. Like there's there's a pattern of recognition with reading and that the brain has that everybody has lost, and that's because of the cell phone that we have and the technology that we have. um, we are no longer designed to read and interpret. We are no longer designed to read on paper and be able to convey. That's not the reality that we live in. But it's easy for you and I to have a conversation and we can be talking about something. And I could be like, well, no, dude, like this is what you should do with your protein intake. And if you're in a calorie deficit, that's how you're going to lose weight. You're more inclined to remember this
You're
conversation
calling me
that we
fat.
have rather than, no, I'm not calling you fat, but you're inclined to have to remember this conversation, this information more so than reading a book on calorie deficit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's why we live in such a fascinating time and that's why I'm so fascinated by technology I feel like we're advancing a little faster than we probably should. I can go on about technology for hours on hours. Like I can go on about AI for years, but
What do you think is one thing that's missing right now in technology though?
um accessibility to important technology. Because I don't necessarily believe that ChatGPT and all this other stuff is important. There's technology that's gate kept from us for a reason.
Have you ever asked like certain questions? Not like any like um it's called like conspiracy theories or anything like that, but it gets restricted.
Are you asking? What are you asking me?
Like you know how like there's like a lot like conspiracies. Like you can see videos on YouTube or
Right, right.
documentaries, but there's certain things if you ask like ChatGPT or stuff like that, it gets restricted and it
Oh
can't
yeah, yeah,
answer
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Of course. But are you asking me about conspiracy theories, or are you asking me about that
Conspiracy
one?
theories.
So which one are you? Are you?
Do you think? Do you think conspiracy theories can eventually be solved with AI, that AI will eventually be able to give out the information?
Yes. Um,
Or will it be changed so that people think that it's just a hoax and that certain things aren't solved and they're just forgotten?
and that's the yes, but that's the dangerous part, and that's the gray area because right now we only have maybe like on two handfuls of big companies that are really, you have Open AI, you have Elon Musk is now doing AI. There's a bunch of different AI companies that are doing things in such a smaller lane, um, in a more specific lane based thing. Like there's a company called Co-Counsel that does things for legal, but you can only do things in your area of expertise
Mm-hmm.
in your law firm. I feel that, and this might be a conspiracy theory, but I think it's real. I think that bigger companies like that are in that sphere, they they work in tandem with Congress and lawmakers and stuff like that to kind of like shut off the accessibility to be able to do things to smaller companies, because machine learning at the end of the day is going to be its own thing. We can monitor it, we can do whatever we want with it, but if you have a strong enough engine, the engine's kind of going to do its own thing. It's going to do its own thing. When you have a machine that is doing its own thing, but the creator of it decides it wants to go uncensored, um, that could be dangerous, because the day you have somebody with a lot of inside information that decides he wants to create an uncensored engine, then you're going to have a lot of problems. And I don't think that's what big companies want.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that's real.
it's interesting.
If you ask me about conspiracy theories, and I think the Bayside Mall aliens in Miami, I think that's a conspiracy theory that they're
Which one?
covering up. Bayside Mall.
What's that?
Remember one of those big tall aliens in
Mm,
Miami, and they recorded it? It was all over TikTok.
how long ago?
Dude, it was like 2 years ago. You don't remember that?
I don't think so.
I think that's a real conspiracy theory. I think they're hiding aliens from us.
I thought they already admitted there is.
I think Area 51, they have advanced weaponry that they don't want us to know about because it would really scare us. I think recently there's been a lot of aircraft that does not conform to like the regular normal.
Aircraft.
Yeah, those are conspiracy theories. But the conspiracy theory that like bigger tech companies are blocking smaller companies for a reason, I don't think that's a conspiracy.
You know what's crazy? At the beginning of the podcast, like you kind of feel like it's all being recorded, but then just dive into it, you forget the whole thing. That
Yeah, so you feel a
yeah,
little bit more better about it. You're actually like you're doing incredible. I think I was a little bit more nervous than you when we were like starting.
why you thought I was gonna say something like
No, 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 no. But like you're doing much better than I could have ever imagined. Because most people would probably just be like,
did I
"Oh,
say
I don't want to be." No, don't do it.
it? No, you warned me
No,
not to.
I know what you're gonna say. Don't do it. Not here. No. Um. But yeah, like I'm. You seem to have a knack for wanting to talk, and that's a skill that is pretty lost in individuals. They don't
I
really.
hate texting.
I
I
love
hate it.
texting because
I hate it.
I hate talking to people unless we're like in front of a camera.
No, I hate it. That's why, like, if you don't answer the phone when I call you, like, say what's up, and you don't
Yeah, I
answer,
don't answer you on purpose.
I just won't talk to you
No,
until
you
the
blow
next
me
day.
up, and then you're like, I'm sick and tired of your
No,
voicemail, and I'm like, that's okay. I'm gonna keep on
bro,
ignoring it.
I want to play your voicemail right now.
No, no, no. My voicemail, it says,
I could just play it.
If this is not important, please stop
I
calling
can
me."
take out my phone, right?
No, you don't have to.
I want to.
We're
Just
good.
decline it.
Why are you calling me? you gonna play it?
All right.
Oh no, never mind. You don't have to play it.
No, I want to.
No, we're good. We're good. Let's move on to something. Um, but yeah, my voicemail pretty much says, if this is not important, please stop fucking calling me. Because sometimes I get like spam calls and like they leave voicemails like, this is important. We need to talk to you. And I'm like, no, just stop calling me.
What if it's like an important business call?
Leave a voicemail. If this is important, leave a voicemail and I'll get back to you. If it's not, stop calling. Is that fair to say? Like,
I mean, it is, but in the tone you say, it's kind of like, stop calling me.
if this is not important, if we don't have a scheduled date, if we don't have a scheduled, if you're not calling me about something that you want to do, or like we got to make some money or this or that, or hey, like we had this going on, or hey, I have some information to tell you. And if you're just like calling me to be like, hey, I wanted to know if you're a registered Republican voter in the area and if you want to support the Donald Trump campaign or, you know, the next Democratic, why are you calling me? Please. Or if you're calling me because, you know, I have some debt from 10 years ago that I'm not going to pay off because it's already off my credit. Like, why are you calling me? You get what I mean? I get that all the time. Like, that's why I send you a voicemail.
Interesting.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, we have like a few minutes left here. I think it's about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. And that flew by. It flew by really, really fast. But I'm glad we did this one, you know. Sometimes when people, you know, they have to cancel or they reschedule, like I never really want to just reschedule myself or cancel. I look for ways to improvise. And sometimes this is like something out of the norm for you. And it's like out of the norm for other people.
For yourself too.
Yeah, it's out of the norm for me too. I've never really done one with like a best friend. I've done it with other people that were not intended to do it. But it was great. I think once you get like those first nerves out and then we start talking, I feel like you and I can talk for hours. But going back to it, it's like, maybe I'll have you on again. Maybe I won't.
Depending how the ratings do.
No, I don't never look at stuff like that. Usually when I would post like the past few episodes, I just stopped looking at it because I was like, I needed to do this good, that good. And then on TikTok, my most recent ones were kind of like getting a lot of views. And I was like, these are just genuine conversations. So maybe, who knows? Maybe you'll be the one that like people are just like, yeah, we actually like this more than the other stuff because, you know, you guys talk about
You know who'd be a good
shit.
guest to bring?
Who?
Carlos.
You think
Carlos
so?
Ayala. Yeah.
You think Carlos would be a great guest?
Yeah.
You want to invite?
Huh?
You want to invite Carlos on the podcast so he can look all cute and quiet?
Yeah. Well, no, he talks too.
Does he?
Yeah. I have a lot of good conversations with him too.
Maybe he can come to the next one.
That'd be a good combo.
Maybe we can get him drunk.
He doesn't drink.
Maybe we can get him to do cocaine.
He doesn't do drugs.
That's not true because when we were at IHOP, he said that.
He doesn't, bro.
So you gonna tell me he's lying?
He doesn't do anything.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to ask before, you know, we?
Nothing much. Just, you know, this is honestly, this is something off my bucket list.
Yeah.
I don't care where the direction of this goes, but it's off of my bucket list. Something I wanted to do. So it's just crazy even sitting here, you know, and just documenting like a whole conversation that we have because I don't know. I feel like a lot of the best conversations too that you have like aren't documented. So even just doing like a podcast and recording it, it's something different, something cool.
All right. So I have to ask you a question. Are you going to the newest Ojos Locos locations?
No, I've never been to Hooters either.
Dude, it's kind of crazy because like we're in the IE and like seeing how far they blow up. Like there's like 5 of them that just opened up.
Dude, there's
and,
people
like,
that were
they're
waiting for the grand opening
at the Colton one.
They should
and, like,
sponsor us since we're
that is
them.
crazy.
They just opened
dude.
up, I think, on Monday.
That is crazy. Like me personally, I would never go, but I mean,
Teach their own.
to each their own. I saw a TikTok where that guy was like, and that's why it's on my mind because it was hilarious. I saw a TikTok earlier where a guy took his whole family. He took his whole family, and the wife was like so mad, and it pans to the camera, and she's looking at him, and she says something to him in Spanish, and he's just like, "What? The food's good here." And the kids are like sitting with their arms crossed, and they're like, "Where the fuck did Dad bring us?" But
Would you take your family there?
no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go myself, but to each their own. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy you came on the podcast.
I gotta fly back to Miami right now after this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go raid your restaurant while you're in Miami, and I'm gonna tell all your bartenders to give me free alcohol. So, and then she's really gonna have a reason to call you and be mad.
Wait, when does this air? Like,
I don't know. I don't know when I'll post it. We'll have to talk to Zeus and see when it's ready. But then I'll send it to you.
for sure.
Alrighty. It
Well,
was a pleasure having you.
I'll
Wait. You want me to say it?
say what?
I love you. Dude, you always say I love you on the phone and I never say it, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I've never told you that in my life.
Okay, all
I'm just
right.
kidding. I love you
I'll
too, bro.
remember that.
I love you too, bro.
All right. I love you, dude.